Hello guys, welcome to another tutorial on Inkscape. So in the previous lesson we designed this flyer and I didn't show you guys how to export it. So in this lesson I'll be talking about all you need to know about the export settings. So let's get down to it. So if you hover to the right bar here, you will see these two file icons, one with the arrow pointing towards the file, and that is import. So you can see the shortcut there, Ctrl I. It says that you can import a bitmap or SVG image, but that's not what we are talking about here. We are talking about the export, which is the second icon with the arrow pointing outside the file, which means you are exporting what is inside this file outside. And you can see the shortcut. It says shift plus control plus E, and it is used to export document or selection as PNG or whatever format you would like to export it at. So once I click on it, or I use the shortcut shift plus control plus E, it will bring out this panel here. Okay, we can see that the first setting here is single image. We have single and batch export. Single will only export one image or one object at a time. Grouped, so you can export any grouped image or object, but one at a time. That is single image. When we get to batch export, you will see how you can export two or more image or object at once. So under this single image, the first one here is document. Document will just basically export everything that is on this document you have opened here. So everything I have on this document, currently I only have this flyer here, which is why it's shown here on the preview. Only that flyer in the whole of this my document. For instance, when I duplicate this flyer into two, that is Ctrl D on my keyboard, then I drag it even outside of my canvas, which is this white thing here, you can see on the preview it still capture it to be exported because it is inside the document. So document will export everything that is in your document. And here you can play around with the width and height, and you can see that unit is pixel. You can change the width and height of the document now, not what you are exporting, not your canvas size, but the whole of your document. So whichever changes you make to this width or this height would be to the whole of your document, not what you are exporting or even your canvas. And you can see here you can also adjust the DPI. So I advise that if you are printing, you will use a higher DPI so that what you are printing will come out well. DPI are dots per inches, more like pixel size. So if you are using something for like web services or you want to post something online, this 96 DPI here is already great. But if you are exporting something which is going to be printed, I will advise you use a higher DPI. For instance, you can use 150 or 300 depending on how sharp you want to print it, because machines can print more dots per inches. And you can adjust your DPI here. If it's for printing, you make it higher. And these two checkbox here, this one says export selected only. So once this is checked, what will be exporting is only what you select. So if I select only this is only what will be exporting in the whole of my document, as I am under this document export setting. So if I select this is what will be exported instead of this. Okay, let me insert another shape so we will have a different thing to make reference to. Let me just draw this rectangle and give it a color. So we have to increase this opacity up back to 100 and remove the outline. Okay, so we have another object here. So you can see that on this preview it is only showing the rectangle because it's the rectangle I have selected. So if I select this flyer on the preview here, you see only the flyer because that is what I have selected. But when I uncheck this export selected only, you will see that everything in the whole of my document will be included in the preview, because that is what would be exported. And the next one here is hide export setting. This hide export setting, once you check it and you click on export, it will just export directly. You won't have to do other settings like select the location or increase the quality of what you are exporting. So but I would like to leave this unchecked because I would love to make changes or make additional settings to what I am exporting. So once we come down here, you can see this file icon here is export directory. Export directory, it is the location in which you want your whatever you're exporting to be in. So once you click on this file, you can go and select the location of where you want to export to. So let me select the location of where I want to export what I am exporting to. So I would like to export to this file here, type to export it, and I click on OK. Note, before you select where you are exporting to, make sure you take note of the file format here and you make sure that it matches what you have here. So let's talk about the file formats now. If you look at this panel here, it says export, select export format. Currently now it is JPEG. JPEG is just a simple image file format that you want to export to. So when I click on this arrow here, I'll see other file formats. The first one here is Inkscape SVG, and we know that SVG are scalable vector graphics, and this Inkscape SVG is telling you that this SVG is an SVG that is compatible to Inkscape software. So if you export as this Inkscape SVG and you send it to anybody, if they open it on an Inkscape software, they will be able to make other changes to this SVG. And not only Inkscape, other software can open an SVG file format. Adobe Illustrator can open SVG. So another one is portable network graphics, which is PNG. Portable network graphics is a file format that allows you to export an image without a background, so it won't have a background when you are exporting it. So for instance, let me duplicate this flyer again and select only the image out of the flyer. So I'll hold on my Ctrl Shift and G to ungroup. Then I'll select only the image. So we have to delete all this. Okay, now this is only the image, and as you can see, this image has no background. So once I check this box, which is export selected only, so that it can show me only what I have selected, which is this, my image here without a background. So when I click that, you can see on the document here it has no background. Okay, let me make it to selection so that it will be more visible. Okay, we'll get to selection, but just to show you this PNG file format, I will just click on selection so you can see the image well. So this image has no background, and you can see it's really transparent. If I export this as JPEG, which is the default format that is showing me here, you will see that it will have a background. So let's just try it and see. Let's select the location of where we want to export to. JPEG. If I export this as JPEG now, save, to bring out some other export settings. So let's just talk about that as well. So here is showing you the quality. So this is low quality warning, telling you how reducing the quality may affect the image and make it blurry, just like what you saw here. So once you come to option, you can increase the quality to the highest. I like to leave it at 100, which is the highest. So when I click on OK, it will load. So we have already exported the image. So let's check what we have just exported here. So you can see from the image preview over here is having a white background, which is not originally there on the image. It was because we exported as JPEG. That's why this white background is there by default. But if we go back to our Inkscape and change the format of the image to a PNG, which is portable network graphics, which is this portable network graphics, it will export without that white background that you see. So let's repeat the process. Save. Also again, to bring out some few settings, note that the setting varies on the file format that you're exporting to. You know, when we exported to JPEG, it just bring out the quality pop-up, which we can increase the quality to avoid blurriness. But now that we're exporting to PNG, so we only have the bit depth. You can see that you can actually compress it. See, the default compression here is 6. You can compress it down to 9, compress it to 4.2, depending on how you want it, but I like to just leave it at the default. And this is pH-wise DPI. Like I said, DPI are dots per inches. So if you are making printing from what you are exporting, I would advise you increase your DPI to maybe 150 or 300. But since we are not printing, we just want to view what we are exporting, we can just leave the DPI the default here, or you can just increase it to whatever number you want. And this is anti-alias. I will just leave it as 2. Then when I'm okay with every of the settings, I'll just click on OK and my export will begin. So you can see this is the one we exported as PNG. You can see it doesn't have a background, and this is what we export as JPEG. It has an background. So if you want to export something without a background, you want it plain like that, you export with PNG. There are other type of file format that you can also export to, though JPEG and PNG, also SVG are the most popular for file format type. So we have also plain SVG. Plain SVG is just normal SVG file format, normal scalable vector graphics that you can open on the web, open on other software. This Inkscape SVG is just indicating that it's a default Inkscape SVG file, which means if you open it in any other Inkscape software, in any other devices, it will function just as it's functioning here before we export it. So yes, you can export as Inkscape SVG format. You can export as portable network graphics, that's PNG. We have plain SVG, which is also same thing with the Inkscape SVG, but this one is just plain, which is just normal scalable vector graphics that any software can open, and you can also use it for your web. And this is JPEG, that is normal image format that we have talked about. And the next one here is portable document format, which is PDF. We all know what PDF is, so you can also export as PDF. We have also TIFF. TIFF is tag image file format. Tag image file format. This image format is used mostly by photographers who love to export high quality image. Sometimes when you come across some images online and you want to download, you will see this file format there, mostly TIFF. They are used to upload high quality images, mostly used by photographer. And again, we have WebP image file format. Is kind of similar to TIFF. It is also used to upload images on web. So that is basically it for all the file formats. So once you're exporting, you will choose the file format you want to export as. Then this button will select your location, and then you click on export. And also I said that once you click on this export selected only, it will export only what you select. As you can see, as I've selected another image, that is the only image that is showing on the preview to be exported. Once I click on rectangle, it's only the rectangle that is showing on the preview. And the reason why it's as full the whole of the preview is because I have come to this selection part under the single image export setting. Remember, we started from document and we said that document we export everything in the document. So the reason why this square is looking small here is because this is the position of the square in the whole of my Inkscape document, and I have this export selected only checked. That's why the square is showing only in this preview. Once I uncheck this, you see everything I have on my document showing on the preview, and once I export it like this, this is how it would appear because I am under the document export setting. So we'll move over to the next one, which is page. Page will just export whatsoever is on your canvas. As you can see, this white rectangle here is my canvas. Let me zoom in a bit. Yeah, so I've zoomed in a bit. This is my canvas. So whatsoever is in this white rectangle, that is what Inkscape will export because I am on page selection. So for instance, if I have 2 or more images in a page, let me reduce this one I have here. So I've reduced it a bit and I've moved it. Let me also put another object, or let me put this image inside this my canvas here. So once I put the image here, you can see on the preview that the image and the flyer are what is showing. But for instance, if I have this flyer and this image inside my page, but I only want to export the flyer inside my page, I can click on the flyer and check this box, export selected only. You can see that it is only the flyer that is selected here, but you can see it's not bold because it is inside my canvas or inside my page, and that is the size it is on my page. That is why it's small like this. But if I increase it to fill the whole of my page like this, you can see that it has become more bigger on the preview. So I can reduce this, so you can see it has become a whole lot bigger on the preview. So if I uncheck this box that says export selected only, you can see that both the flyer and the image are now showing in the preview. And once I export it like this, that is how it will appear with all of these spaces here. If I export this now as a JPEG, all these other spaces around my images will be replaced with a white image because that's the color of my page here on my canvas, white. So but if I click on export selected only and I select what I want to export, you can see that only the flyer is showing on the preview. And if I export this also, all these other spaces here will be automatically filled with white color here because that's the color of my page. But if I don't want any other thing, I just want only this flyer here, that is what I want to export. I don't want any other white color around what I'm exporting. I'll come over to the selection aspect here. You can see that the selection aspect will export anything I have selected in my document, and it will export that and only that without any additional background. So if I select another thing, maybe this rectangle, you can see only this rectangle is going to be exported without any additional background, either from my page or from the document, because I am on this selection panel. It will export only what I have selected. And when we want to head over to here, this is the custom export setting. The custom export setting will just basically let you customize how you want to export whatsoever is in your document. You can see that you can adjust the length from the left hand side, the right hand side. You can adjust the height also from the left and the right hand side. You can adjust the top and the bottom. So if you are using your ruler most often, with this is your ruler, so you can just measure. Maybe I want to export only this flyer. I can just trace the size of this flyer here. I will get the size here in millimeter and I'll add it over to the top. I'll trace it to this side. I'll get the measurement here and I'll add it. So if you just want to customize what you are exporting, maybe you are doing a architectural work and it is more technical, you can just put in your measurement and export. So but I think this document, page and selection, they are just the easiest way to export, especially the selection. That is my favorite. You just select whatsoever you want to export and make sure that this export selected only is ticked. Then when it's ticked, you just select your file format, select your location and click on export. That is it on export. So but if you like to input your own measurement by yourself, you come to custom, you customize how you want to export, also the size of the image you want to export. And also when you are customizing what you want to export, you can choose to export either everything or what you select only. So I can select this and adjust the size and just still export. So under this batch export setting, there are 3 sides to it. You can export by selection, that is, you can export based on what you select. So once I click on, maybe I just want to select this, I click on it, you can see that this is my first image. So if for instance I want to export this flyer, this image and this document, and I want to export them separately, but I don't want to do them one after the other, I just want to export them once. So once I'm on the selection part, I'll click on the first one I want to export. While holding down my shift, I'll click on the second one and then I'll click on the third one. You can see the way they line up here, so they'll just export once. So the only downside to this batch export setting is that you can't adjust the naming of the file. You can only adjust the suffix, which is the name that comes after the random name that Inkscape will give your file or your image or whatever you are exporting. For instance, this is the random name the Inkscape has given this flyer I want to export, also this image and this rectangle. I cannot change this name. Only thing I can do is to add a suffix, that is a word or any other thing after the random name. So once you come over here down to suffix, you can see that the default suffix here just says flyer 1. I can change this suffix and say let me just say batch export. So that is the suffix that will be attached to this random name that Inkscape have given whatsoever I want to export. Also, you can play with the format of what you are exporting. Mind you, any format you select is what will be applied to all of which you are exporting. So you have to make sure that whatsoever you are exporting is same format. Okay, and here also you can adjust the DPI. We have talked about DPI. If it's for something you are printing, it's advisable to use 150 to 300 DPI. DPI are dots per inches. So you can adjust the DPI based on your specification. When you are done with everything, you select the location where you want to export to. So to bring out the pop-up now, to select a location, bring out the export setting. This is for the PNG. Click on OK when you are done and it will begin exporting. Okay, so it has exported these 3 images and objects. So when I go to my folder now, okay, so you can see all what I've just exported. These are the 3 I just exported. Now this is the JPEG and PNG we used for example before, and these are the 3 I just exported in batch. And you can see the random number and the suffix that the Inkscape added for us here. So you can see them here in the name. So if you want to rename them, you can come over and rename them, but when exporting you can't actually choose a name, you can only change the suffix. So that's it for batch export under selection. You can also do batch export under layers. That's if you have 2 or more layers open on your Inkscape document. So I wouldn't say much about this because we have not really talked about layers. In upcoming video we'll talk about layers, and I'll make reference back to how you can export in batch using your layers. You can also export in batch using the pages. So you click on the page section, it says export pages as separate files. Export pages as separate files. So you can see it's not clicking here because we have only one page imported here. So if you have more than one page or more than one canvas, you can export in pages. So guys, that's basically it for the export setting. I hope this video is helpful. If you have any further question or you are confused about anything, you can leave them down in the comment section below and I will attend to them. Thank you guys for sticking to this part, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.